How goes the family? Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Happy Saturday, all that good stuff. Like I always say, it's a great, exciting time to be alive, no matter what craziness may be going on. And hey, I'm just still happy to be here and be alive and well and be able to pursue my money making moves and be here talking to you and all that good stuff. So if you're joining us, definitely please give it a like. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do that. Those two things are free. And, like I always say, if it's free, then it's definitely me. Can we talk about subject matter I thought about earlier today because, well, before I get into it, but I will be talking about some of my favorite artists that I grew up listening to, like Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre, and things of that nature, because a lot of their journey has a lot to do with our daily journeys, our daily hopes and dreams and struggles that we deal with on a regular basis. But before I do that, let's start this off with let's start off with a little bit of good old music and whatnot. Get the party started before I start talking about it. Hopefully, have some people join in and have some sort of a discussion. But if not, it is definitely all good. So let's do this and let's get it started. All right, let's do it. All right. Get into it, family. If you're watching, please give it a like, family. It's always greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed to YouTube, please do so. Give it a good share. All right. Let's get it going. All right. Let's do it. Yeah. All right, let's get the show going. Let's get the show going. Let's get the show going. All right. All right. As Kevin Hart would say. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. All righty. Do a little share here. All right. All good in the neighborhood. All right. So, anyways, at the end of the day, all I have to say is that, let's start with Ice Cube because he's the first one on this journey. Most people know that they know the journey of Ice Cube and whatnot. He started off rapping with the group known as NWA. They were very prolific in regards to a lot of them. People call it gangster rap. They called it reality rap because it's what they saw and went through growing up in Compton in South Central California during the 1980s. All right. But I bring this up because most people know that Ice Cube has always been, and he was, I think, 18, 19 years old at the time, maybe 17. He's always been a businessman. And when he knew dealing with, the music world, he kept asking what was the deal with the contracts. If you ever seen the movie Straight Outta Compton, he's like, hey, what's the deal with the contracts? This is about business. This is about, making some money moves and whatnot. What is going on in regards to my money, and how come nothing is in writing? And then when he was finally presented the contract, he's like, I need to have a lawyer look at it because I don't understand any of this. And as a teenager, he knew that, well, young man, I'll say young man, he knew that he did not have the testicular fortitude to understand what was going on from a business perspective. And of course, the gentleman at the time stated that, hey, either you sign now or you're going to have to walk away because everyone else has signed the contracts and whatnot. And the downside to that is, people, they were given a couple $1,000s of money, whatnot. But, it's a lot of times $100,000 might look good at the time, or $200,000 might look good at the time, but you're really worth millions. And of course, a lot of people, they were, young and just learning the business and things. So they signed their contracts, in a sense, their life away at the time. all the other members, Dr. Dre or Ren, DJ Yellow, or DJ Yella. And then of course Eazy-E was the owner of Ruthless Records at the time, so his deal was just as bad, just was not as bad as theirs, but it was bad because he didn't understand the business and he trusted this man. And that's the thing. It's like, even in business, even if somebody seems to be nice and seems to be cool, you can't always put 100% trust into people like that. You have to be able to understand. That's why I could talk until I'm blue in the face, but you got to understand, and do research and take classes and engage with people and have some life lessons learned. Because all the research in the world, you're going to hit a bump in the road every now and then. It's like driving a car. The most seasoned drivers on the planet can end up in a car accident, and it's because of one fatal move that they made or one fatal move they didn't make, or vice versa with the person who came into a head-on collision with them. Stuff is going to happen, but that's how we grow. That's how we learn, and that's how we grow in this life. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, one thing I will say with sincerity is that Ice Cube went out on his own, and he ended up saying, okay, well, I'm going to do this whole thing on my own. I have some connections within the music industry, and I'm going to move forward from there. And he still had bumps in the roads on the way on that path from a solo tip, and he ended up forming his own group later with the West Side Connection. However, it was a life lesson learned. And I'm going through this because, we're in as a world, not even just the nation of the United States of America, but in the world as a whole, we're at some sort of a crossroads. It's the middle of November, the holiday season's here, 2021 is here, and the most important things, in my personal opinion, aren't being talked about, one. And then two, we're with 2021, I believe it's decision time in regards to, what are you really trying to do with your life? I had a conversation with my brother from another mother, Adrian Gonzalez, and, the conversation, was like, hey, we're trying to talk about, what does the future really hold? Where are we really going with this? How is it really going to pan out? You know what I mean? And we all come to those crossroads in life, where we're embarking on a new journey, where we seem like the journey that we're on, it's a place to nowhere, or it's just stagnation. You can't really climb and go further where you want to go because of specific things, whether it's your job, whether your business isn't producing, whether your family wouldn't be good with you making this specific move, especially when it's not just you. You got to think of your family first. There's always these specific amount of things. And that goes into number two, because that was one fatal moment with Ice Cube. But Dr. Dre even had more fatal moments all at the same time. And when I say more fatal moments, he had fatal moments when he noticed that everything wasn't right with his deal with Ruthless Records. He knew he needed more options and things of that nature when it came to the music industry, and he knew he wasn't getting his fair share when it came to music. I mean, when it came to the money and whatnot. And he had a lawyer unfortunately, whenever you're going to sign any major big contract, you got to have a lawyer, one, and then two, you got to have a relationship with the lawyer. It's like the one thing they say is, especially you're going to be in business, you got to have a good relationship with a lawyer and a CPA, a certified financial professional. Okay. You have to, because if not, then you have more of a chance of getting screwed over, even more so to the point where you can't even recuperate. And that's one thing with the entertainment industry. A lot of people for decades, since the 40s, 50s, and so on and so on, it's been an ongoing battle for a multitude of people that, because they did not have the knowledge that other people could take advantage of you. And that's the thing. If you don't have knowledge, even in today's knowledge-based economy, but back then you didn't have that, people have more access to information now than they ever have. So you have less of a chance of you getting screwed over in any sort of business deal. And if you do, at least the one-on-one aspects of it. Because my mindset is, you can't become knowledgeable at anything if you don't even understand the one-on-one aspects of it. You can't become a professional at anything if you don't understand the one-on-one aspects of it, because that allows you the opportunity to grow, and that allows you the opportunity to hit the bumps in the road and things of that nature. So I totally understand that. Okay. Now, when it boils down to Dr. Dre, he ended up leaving Ruthless Records and ended up starting a company with Marion Suge Knight. Everybody knows Suge Knight for the most part. And, he was making a lot of great music, working with a lot of artists. He discovered Snoop Dogg because of his brother, Warren G. And, for a couple of years, it seemed like things were going on a great spiral. He put out the Chronic, the Snoop Dogg's album, put out the Dog Pound's album, various other albums on Death Row, and they were flying high and making a lot of money. But Dr. Dre was starting to mature out of the company that he was with. And most people know he got tired of being around people that just wanted to be overly, I'm going to say, overly ghetto, overly to the point where they didn't want to grow. And all they wanted to do was get high, commit crimes, and barely make any music. And he was the exact opposite. He wanted to work. He wanted to engage with other people within the business. He wanted to talk business, because at the end of the day, Dr. Dre, like Ice Cube, is essentially a businessman. That's why these people are still relevant to this day. So what ended up happening is Dr. Dre left Death Row. Now the word is that he left Death Row with nothing, but he said it, and I quote Dr. Dre. He stated, "I left with one thing that was the most important thing, and I left with peace of mind." And you can't put a price tag on peace of mind. I'm from the DMV area. I've seen people that make the most great amount of money, live in the most overpriced houses and most expensive cars, but have no, and I mean no, peace of mind whatsoever. Okay. And I will say that with all sincerity. You cannot put a price tag on peace of mind. And he left with that and started his own company. And, it took a while for it to get off the ground, but, people know he found artists like Eminem, 50 Cent, the list goes on and on. And, he's blown up from there. He's had various amounts of businesses, even though he's going through a divorce right now. But hey, Dr. Dre is more than just a musical phenomenon. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman, et cetera, and so forth. Same thing with Ice Cube. Same thing with Ice Cube. Okay. And that was a rough time, but he had to learn and he had to grow. And he had to get around the company that he was around. And unfortunately, when he, left Ruthless Records, his friend Eazy contracted a disease and passed away, unfortunately. But he learned his lesson, and he learned to still engage with people that he was the closest with, and, do his darndest to get back to his community and things of that nature. So that's why I said I got nothing but love and respect for people like this, because we all have our seasons. And I think we're in a season where we know that growing and taking our life to the next level is where it's at right now, because we know that at any moment, COVID-19, I say it all the time, any moment, we can be taken away from here. There's been a lot of people that have passed away this year, unfortunately, if not even just due to the COVID-19 virus, but to various other things. We have to learn to appreciate the lives that we have. We have to learn to appreciate the people that we're around. We just have to learn to grow. And we had to learn when the season, like we're in season of fall now. So it's a change of season. Seasons change for a reason. People are around us for a reason. And there's only a certain amount of people that need to remain in our lives for the rest of our lives. I mean, I barely have a handful of people that I grew up with that I constantly engage with on a regular basis and whatnot, because we were all in a specific season with one another. And now that season is past. And that's what it was with Ice Cube. He had a season with NWA. He had a season by himself. He had a season with West Side Connection. And then he was able to have a season by himself once again and, grow and do various other things, having his own production company, creating movies, selling merchandise. What else is my man? He's been doing. What hasn't he done? He has his, basketball lead. Heck, him and LL Cool J were to a point where they were actually going to buy a specific network or whatnot until they screwed him out of it. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, that's just what it is. Like most people can see Ice Cube nowadays, and Dr. Dre, they're not looking at him for just the music aspect, but they're looking at him for various other aspects all at the same time. All right. And because these people know how to move on to other different seasons within their lives and be able to move on with their lives and be around and learn and grow. And not only that, be able to help develop others all at the same time. So that's another thing that, goes into Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg season started with Death Row Records. Snoop Dogg was, he didn't even because obviously he was still somewhat of a very, very young man when he first started off. So he did not even understand the importance of business, because he said everything that he had. Well, he was with Death Row Records. He basically was leased or being rented, like, the house he had, the cars he had, things of that nature. He was not taught business principles and business responsibilities. So, and everybody left Death Row, and then Tupac was unfortunately killed on Death Row and whatnot. And he felt like he was all alone and whatnot. And the reason why And then he ended up going with Master P, which actually ended up working out in his favor, Mr. Percy Miller. And then, so he left that season and went to the other season of going with No Limit Records. And then it was he really did learn that it was more of a no limit to what life was. And he even stated himself, he's like, the best thing he loved about being a no limit is whenever they went someplace, it wasn't about beefing with people and trying to start nonsense with people. It was nice to say, hey, how you doing? You know, it was nice to be polite to people and not act stupid and foolish and whatnot. He learned how, you know, the importance of owning real estate, you know, the importance of business and whatnot. He was around a person like Master P who was a mentor for him. And he said this on a multitude of, you know, occasions. And he know that there was more to him than just being a rapper and whatnot. So he got into acting, merchandise, having his own cars, having his own production studios, things of that nature, you know, real estate, you know, the list goes on. And that's what, you know, it's all about. You know, you look at grade school, you're in elementary school, you're in middle school or junior high, depending on what state you live in. You go to high school, then you go to college, or you go to trade school, you go to the military, or you just go into a job and work your way up. We all have seasons in our life. But you have to learn when it is the right time to move on. And we all have that gut, you know, even if you're in a relationship, you know, you got to learn when it's the right time to move on. If you and that person aren't really growing like you want to grow in a sense and whatnot. It's like, because everything it's about hard work. It's not about sitting around and being basic. You know, that's the thing. The people, especially when it comes to celebrities, people can say what they want about celebrities, but most celebrities, the successful ones, from the actors and actresses to the singers to the rappers to whatever, they're not around basic people. They're around people that is about uplifting. They're around people that are about growing. You know, I think his name is Corey Stewart, the one comedian from Chicago, great actor and a comedian at the same time. He said, I don't like being around people that ain't about growing. That's why he lives in LA. He says he doesn't really like going home to Chicago that much because a lot of people from his old neighborhood are doing the same stuff today that they were doing 10 years ago. You know, you can't really grow if you're around people that are doing the same thing 5 or 10 years ago and still talking the same nonsense and whatnot. That's why I don't like to talk about things that I don't see happening from an action standpoint. Okay, if it's like, I might write my plans down, I have my goals written next to my bed, I cross them off, but until they're completed, I don't really need to talk about it, you know, because to me, that sounds like a fool if I'm continuously talk about something that's not about growing or anything of that nature. So that's where at the end of the day, that's where we're at. You know, we have our seasons. We're going through, you know, fall right now. Eventually, you know, as the show Game of Thrones, winter is coming, and when it gets here, that's fine. We'll be prepared for it, you know, and we don't know what 2021 is going to bring us, you know, as a nation, as a world, as a society. But I think the ones that are going to prosper the most are the ones that understand that they're in a different season now. The rules of engagement are different. However, the way you conduct yourself and engage with other people is on a whole nother level. You know, it's like I was talking to Adrian today. It was like, hey, man, it's like I get on social media to engage with people, not because I want something out of them. Social capital to me is just being able to engage with people that I have stuff in common with. You know, a lot of people just get on social media and that's their prerogative. I'm not knocking it, to just browse and look for stupid stuff and whatnot. I get on social media to engage and learn and whatnot. Like, you know, half people I end up interviewing, I just inbox them, say, hey, how you doing? Love, especially if they're another content creator like myself. I love what you're doing. Please keep up the good work. Would you mind being on my show? I wouldn't mind being on yours. I want to engage. You know, I join Facebook groups to engage in whatnot, whether it's wholesaling, content creators, people selling products, things of that nature. I want to engage with you. I want to know what you know. I want you to know what I know. And I want us to grow, you know, because the season of me just being on social media and goofing off is over. That season has passed within the last 2 years of my life, 2019 and 2020, you know, and I think that for those who are serious about doing specific things in life, I need you to ensure that when you're on social media, nothing wrong with having fun, but don't just make it all about that. Make it about you being able to engage with others and do other things to ensure that you grow to a category to where it makes yourself proud or whatnot. You know, because I look forward to getting on social media for that specific reason, not just to see something crazy or just to see what's trending and things of that nature. But I think at the end of the day, when you look at everyone's stories, you see that they went through hard times and they grew up in some of the hardest communities during a time frame where you think violence has been bad within the last couple of years. If you would have went to Los Angeles, California back in the 1980s and 90s, yeah, everybody knows it was on. Okay, now LA is not a perfect city, has its issues like any other city, but it was gang infested, crime ridden, and these people, and that's why I respect the people that even come from those kind of communities and have made something of themselves and consistently give back in a good way, because we need more people like with the Ice Cube mindset of, and I'll speak about him specifically, of growing, learning, and giving back, and becoming a job creator and not just a job getter. Okay, the job creators are going to be the ones that the future generations are going to look up to. The people that are just doing it and not just talking about it are going to be the ones people look up to. Okay, that's what is needed, especially within the African American community. That's what implementation is going to be all about. Okay, and those that are going to be willing to admit that, hey, I messed up, I did this, I shouldn't have did that, I should have went in this specific direction, I would have pivoted in that specific direction in life. But it's a lesson learned, and we all have lessons to learn. We all learn, we all grow, because like Tupac said, either you evolve or you disappear. Just imagine Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube talking the same way today as they did 20 and 30 years ago. It wouldn't make sense. So that, just imagine them being around the same mindset of I'm going to say it, the Suge Knights and whatnot, back then. They wouldn't have grown, because if you look at it, going to keep it real, most of the people that were on the Death Row record label that did not leave, most did not prosper. The ones that you don't hear that much from anymore. Now a lot of people did, and I'm not just trying to dog Suge Knight, because I know he did a lot of bad things, but I know he did a lot of good things at the same time. But it's about growth. And if you don't grow, then you can end up in where he's at right now, in prison for life. And that's not like, it's nothing to laugh and joke about. I don't wish that on anybody, but you evolve, you disappear. We all people like jobs have their seasons. Businesses have their seasons. Homes have their seasons. Clothes have their seasons. So people should have seasons that you're around. That's really the best, and when you have to know as an adult when to walk away from a specific situation. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot always, because, oh, we got this history, bliggity, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of people that are in battered women's shelters and children's shelters because of their love for other people. And I don't say that to be funny. I say that because that's real. There's a lot of people that are miserable because they are in a job that they cannot stand, but because they don't want to actually do any real work, or they don't want to actually get outside of the comfort zone, that they will stay there till the day they freaking die, or just until they can retire and get a specific amount of money and whatnot, which to me they could get part-time doing elsewhere. That's just my opinion on that one. You're going to choose money over happiness, because like I said, I know other parts of the country, you got people like that, but in the DMV, whoo, you got a lot of people that choose money over happiness, choose the overpriced car over living a lifestyle that they can be excited about, choose the overpriced house over the same thing. Okay, choose this nonsense of status just in order for them to live a lifestyle that they really just trying to impress other people that they don't know and that they most likely don't like. Okay, Will Smith had that one right. Too many people buy stuff to impress people that they don't know and that they don't like. I've never been that guy, and I never want to be that guy. The way I dress is the way I dress. Somebody don't like it, have a nice life. It's not that serious. The car I drive, the house I live in, I got to live in it. I got to drive it. If I'm good with it, that's all that matters. And I would employ everyone to be the same way, because, with this season change that we're going through now, I mean, heck, what is it? Fall, the season of fall is funny, because to me, the season of fall flip-flops more than a politician. You know what I mean? So one day it's hot, one day it's cold and whatnot. But you got to know when to walk away from certain situations. There's been a multitude of movies, if you go old school with the 90s, where the reform, quote unquote, gangster wanted to walk away from situations they knew it wasn't for them anymore. It's the same way. Just think of yourself being 30 years old, still in the ninth grade. Do you really want to be in that position? Now, I'm not degrading anybody that went back to get their high school diploma, GED, at a later age. I mean, hey, my mindset is better late than never. But I am saying we all have a season in life where we do specific things, and then you have to grow out of it and move on, because there's no, and I mean no, growth in being basic. Okay, there's no growth and being around people that talk about things that have nothing to do with prosperity. Because another thing, especially in the Twitter sphere, the Facebook sphere, and the YouTube sphere, a lot of people love to complain about any and every freaking thing. They never wake up trying to look for something basic and positive and good to talk about, just to say I'm thankful for. No one's no, that usually doesn't, it's usually what my life lacks, or what this happened, or who got elected, and bliggity blah blah blah. And I'm just like, can you just find one good thing to talk about? Because what you talk about is what you can speak into existence. Okay, what happened, your thoughts can become real. So if you're always on something negative, a subject matter that's negative and depressing, it's not going to help you as a person grow. I'm just going to be honest with you. A lot of good things, if you don't spread good karma and good positive energy, then a lot of people are not even going to want to be around you anymore. Because especially in the COVID-19 economy, let's be real. Okay. Most things are closed down. Most things aren't happening unless it's online. It's funny. I got an email today about Too Short and Big Boy being at a drive-through comedy show. And I respect that, because more and more people want to get out, even though unfortunately the cases are starting to rise more, COVID-19 cases in the United States. More people want to be out. People want to enjoy life. People want to be able to go to a restaurant and go to a movie. And, even though a lot of people love being in the comforts of their own home, and I don't have a problem with that, but a lot of people still want to go travel. I mean, heck, I'm going to Houston this week. So I'm like, hey, it's time for me it's been a minute since I've been on a plane anywhere. So it's time for me to go and enjoy my life, especially before they start shutting things down again. But, that's what I'm really getting at that. It's like, I grew up with some cool people, but they're no longer in my life because they were part of our season, 20 years ago. We're not on the same wavelength of where we're going in life. But I got nothing but love and respect for them. If I see them in public, you darn right, I'm going to say, "What's up? How you doing?" Give a handshake, all that good stuff, because that's the kind of person I am. But we are on two different wavelengths and two different trajectories, and that's cool. I got nothing but love and respect for any and everybody, especially for those who got love and respect for me. All right, and I implore everybody to do the same thing, because most likely the next couple of months things might lock down more. Who knows? The next couple of months, you might see more, states shutting down because they have no choice. We don't know. We have to wait till it gets here. But, we know the time frame of February and March are some very, very cold months, especially depending on what part of the country that you live in. But at the end of the day, I just say this. With the season change, are you making a change? And I know with the New Year's coming up, everybody's going to have their New Year's resolutions. And I implore you to move forward with any New Year's resolutions. But the caveat to that is, I think we should not just focus on New Year's resolutions. I think we should focus on monthly goals. What is, when the month ends, what have I accomplished? And then when the year ends, what have I accomplished? And then when the year begins, what do I want to accomplish? And when the month begins, what do I want to accomplish? Make the New Year's resolution the biggest thing. Those small victories could go a long way. And those small victories can help you, show you that, hey, I don't need to be in this situation anymore. Great example. Before Snoop Dogg officially signed to No Limit, he said he was actually in a financial bind and needed money. So he was jumping on songs with any and everybody. He jumped on a song with the rapper Mystical and whatnot, and he got paid way more money than he was anticipated. And that's when the conversation of the business transaction between Snoop and Master P was going to take place and whatnot, because of him just networking and going outside of the box and working with other artists that he's never really worked with before, just in order to do what he has to do. Okay. But now, and if you look at the beautiful thing about Snoop Dogg, now he just makes money because he likes making money. I'm sorry, not now. He makes music because he likes to make music. He's at a point in his life where he doesn't ever have to make music again, but he does it because it's just something he loves and he's passionate about. Heck, a couple years ago, he even did a gospel record or records, and I remember he said he did it because his grandmother passed away and she never listened to his music because, he cussing and all that good stuff. So I totally respect that, even before Nate Dogg passed away, he started making gospel music for his mother because, his parents were very, traditional Bible Belt brothers and sisters from Mississippi, I believe, and they would not listen to his music, you know, and I get it and I totally respect it. So, and that showed the new season that Nate Dogg was in before he passed away. He had found new passion and new soul that just got him motivated and got him going again in life. And the same thing with Snoop Dogg. And that's what I said. So it's like we can evolve and do things that we never thought we'd ever do before in our lives. But we do it because it's out of love and passion. I make these videos because I love engaging people online. I love to be able to connect, and that's why I started going live. With this is the year I first started going live in 2020. You know, like I said, some good things came out of COVID. Had a little bit more time to be able to stream more and engage with people more. That is a beautiful thing. But I will say this with all sincerity, you know, comfort zone is dead, people. 2021. I've been saying it for years, but COVID-19 really showed that it is dead. And regrouping and rethinking and engaging about things that matter, you know, like, and like I said, for me, I'm not going to talk about a music artist unless it's on some business. It's just not how it's going to go down. And if you're watching and you're alive, be fortunate. That's just one thing. I made a video the other day about how the homeless population may increase. If you're not in this category, that's one. If that outside of being alive, that's another thing to be happy about, is to not be homeless. So this needs to be more of a year of two things: giving back, networking, and engaging, and stop with the hating and stop with the nonsense, because that's not going to get us anywhere. I'm just going to say, I find that to be a waste of time. That's why when anybody puts a negative comment on my videos, you get deleted and you get blocked, because I'm not going to waste my time. Life is too short. You know, and if 2020 hasn't taught us that, I don't know what will. But life is too short. Get up and get moving, no matter what the situation is. Things are going to move are moving much slower now than they ever did before, at a snail's pace. But as long as you're moving, you're grooving, family. All right. So do the great 3 free things: like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Always greatly appreciate that. Thank you. My Cash App went off a couple of times, so thank you for those donations. It's always greatly appreciated. And on that, family, as always, make money moves. Take care.